In accordance with the guidance of Allah the Almighty, following the example set by the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are many examples from the life of the promised Messiah alayhi salam exhibiting generosity. This was not something which began only after he was commissioned for his mission. Rather, we find such examples throughout his life. The promised Messiah alayhi salam was raised by a mother who exhibited great generosity, hospitality, and compassion. If Hazrat Chirag Bibi were informed that food was needed for 4 people, she would prepare food for 8 in case more people later needed it. She arranged funerals and even provided shrouds for poor people who passed away. When the promised Messiah ﷺ was working in Sialkot, his mother sent him clothes and other items for a man. Upon receiving them, he told the man to take half of the things that he had been sent, as the man had carried them a long distance. When the promised Messiah ﷺ used to work, he would distribute his income among widows and the needy and keep only enough for his own sustenance. Much of this remained hidden from others, but when his life became public, people began to witness his acts of generosity. Once, after congregational prayer, a man quietly mentioned that he was in need of financial help. His voice did not immediately register with the promised Messiah ﷺ, who continued on his way. A few minutes later, the request came to mind and had a deep impact on his heart. He sent for the man, but he had already departed. Later that evening, when the man approached him again, he immediately reached into his pocket and gave him an amount. The promised Messiah ﷺ explained that he had felt an immense burden when he realized he had not responded earlier and was grateful that the man had returned. There was a man who would regularly come to the mosque, sit by a window and call out, "Ghulam Ahmed, I need a rupee." The promised Messiah ﷺ would often be occupied with important work, yet the man would continue calling out. If anyone reproached him, he would respond, "Was I making the request to you? I've come to ask Ghulam Ahmed." Whenever the promised Messiah ﷺ learned that anyone had scolded him, he did not like it and would smile as he gave him some money. It was his standard never to leave a beggar asking for too long. A beggar once approached the promised Messiah ﷺ repeatedly, saying, "Data, Data," meaning benefactor. The promised Messiah ﷺ replied, "Allah is the benefactor," and went inside his home. Later, when he emerged, the beggar said, "Allah is the benefactor, and I request you to give me something." Upon this, the promised Messiah ﷺ gave him some money. Thus, he not only showed generosity, but also imparted such teachings. Once, while speaking to a gathering, a beggar came and loudly asked for something. One person closed the door because he disliked the interruption. Seeing this, the promised Messiah ﷺ instructed him to bring something for the beggar and said, "It is not good to close the door upon a beggar." There was also a beggar who would continue asking the promised Messiah ﷺ for different amounts of money and would not leave until he received what he requested. Over time, the promised Messiah ﷺ became acquainted with him and would say that this man should simply be given whatever amount he asked for. When someone informed the promised Messiah ﷺ about a project to build a well in the forest for the ease of travelers, he liked the idea and gave 200 rupees towards it. Thus, he not only taught service to humanity but embodied it himself. On one occasion, a man approached the promised Messiah ﷺ and used unbecoming language during a debate. Shortly afterwards, the same man sent a note requesting financial help. The promised Messiah ﷺ immediately sent him 15 rupees. No one knew of this incident until the man himself later published it, revealing the lofty character and generosity of the promised Messiah ﷺ, even towards those who berated him. The promised Messiah ﷺ also understood the ways in which people requested things. Once a person complimented the hat he was wearing. Upon this, he immediately removed the hat from his head and gave it to him. During a period of severe illness, when he was unable to attend congregational prayer, the promised Messiah ﷺ received a letter requesting a prescription of medicine and one of his coats. Despite his condition, he sent both the prescription and the coat. This incident shows how he fulfilled the request made of him, disregarding his own physical discomfort. On happy occasions, people would send money so that meals could be arranged in Qadian. Often, they did not realize that such arrangements involved feeding a large number of people. When the amount sent was insufficient, the promised Messiah ﷺ would add the remaining funds himself so that the meal could be arranged. May Allah enable everyone to develop the same moral characteristics which the promised Messiah ﷺ displayed in complete subservience to his master, the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ.